It's been said that the future is not a place we are going, but a place we are creating. First in mind, then in will, then in activity. To borrow the phrase from Martin Luther King Jr., I have a dream. I have a dream. I have a dream where no one has to suffer the full effects of FSHD. I have a dream where the global community, speaking with one voice, 1 million strong, sends a message that can't be ignored. I have a dream where local communities, organized into chapters, led by committed, dedicated volunteers, begin working together to create that army of activists that actually becomes the force to accelerate drug discovery and development in FSHD. I have a dream that we will have disease-modifying therapies to our families by 2025 as we work together in the belief that what needs to be done can be done. And if not us, then who? And if not now, then when? My dream, while aspirational, is attainable. It's as expansive as the world, and yet it begins with just one.
My relationship to FSHD is that 2 of my siblings, my daughter and I, we all have it. I recently discovered that my paternal grandfather also had it.
When Landon and I got married about 40 years ago, his primary symptoms were that he couldn't raise his arms over his head. We didn't know what to do, we didn't know where to turn, and it wasn't until several years later that his sister was diagnosed at the University of Utah.
We've been involved with the Society since we joined in 2014 and attended our first Connect conference in Boston that year.
We decided to take on the challenge to lead a chapter after meeting Mark and June a few months ago. We'd been looking for a volunteer opportunity and this one fit perfectly. What we hope to do with the chapter is to help patients, caregivers, and their families connect and advocate for themselves and each other.
And our hope for the future is to find a cure. But until then, we hope to bring a greater awareness to the community and to help improve the quality of life of all those affected.
I took on the challenge of starting a support group in Connecticut because after looking around, I realized there wasn't one, and I thought, well, maybe there's a need. So in January of last year, I began the whole process. I was deeply inspired by the open house of the Society in Cambridge and meeting Dan Perez and his dad and hearing the story of how this all began and looking at where it is now. That is just phenomenal. So I wanted to be a part of this. My hope for the future of this program, the chapter, is that people will become aware of this disease and that our group harnesses the potential. We have tremendous capability and potential to move forward. It's such an exciting time, and to be a part of it is a real privilege. We can be a part of something that is really phenomenal.
I have a very mild case of FSHD, but to be honest, I didn't really understand it, or for that matter, pay very much attention to it until my older daughter, Alina, was diagnosed with the condition. She has a pretty severe case. Our younger daughter, Natalia, carries the gene, but she hasn't shown any significant symptoms yet. They're both remarkable young women. I became involved with the Society, and I've been a contributor since at least for a decade, because I realized that without it, we wouldn't have any understanding of the disease or have any possible cures. I think it's terribly important that we all work together to move the work of the Society forward. I hope that we can form a really strong group to provide mutual support, education, and also to raise funds for the Society. It is extremely important that we all do it together.
I was diagnosed with FSHD too, clinically in October 2017. We had never heard of FSHD before, and the news came as a shock. To our knowledge, no one in our family has FSHD. Therefore, we have been committed to learning everything we can about FSHD
diagnosis, I did a Google search and came up with the FSHD Society. At that point, I found June and reached out to her at the society. With support and hope, FSHD has a chance of being cured sooner than later. I told June as soon as we had confirmed beyond one clinical visit that Katelyn had FSHD, I was in and ready to support the cause.
And they also went out for coffee.
We did go out for coffee. It was a lovely date. So, Katelyn and I together are taking on the challenge of leading the chapter program for Boston, Mass. With Cambridge, Mass being one of the few active centers around FSHD research, I jumped at the chance to support the society.
I'm getting involved with my mom to help support FSHD so that there is a cure sooner rather than later.
I was diagnosed with FSH when I was 16 years old. FSH runs in my family on my father's side, so I always grew up knowing that it was part of my family, but I wasn't really affected until I was 16 years old. I've been actively involved, I would say, with the support group since 2015. I would really like to see a cure for the disease, not only for myself, but for all of the other people that are affected with the disease. I know it's something that can happen. We just need to really push for a cure and more research.
I was diagnosed with FSH in 1982, and by that time, I'd already had some of the symptoms for about 10 years. Soon I attended our first meeting of the society about 2 years ago. And for me, that was the very first time I ever met somebody else with FSH, and it was amazing. I feel like we took on this role in leadership to continue to build a supportive community for people who have FSHD, and also so that we can stay in touch with the most current research.
What we hope for this chapter in particular is to build a community and grow in number as well as getting to know each other better. It's been really great to meet each other and our families and talk about support, and what we're hoping for is a building of that community.
I've been involved with the FSH Society since I got diagnosed 3 years ago. So I decided to take on the challenge of leading a chapter here in the Chicagoland area because I reached out to the society shortly after I was diagnosed and was kind of surprised to find out that there wasn't a group here set up in the Chicagoland area. So I reached out and said, how can I make that happen? How can I work to get that set up? So, and through this whole process, all of it's kind of, and I don't really care what it takes, what we need to do, and what's involved, but I'm in, and I will help lead that and get that set up because it's important to have a group here in the Chicagoland area. So what I hope to see happen with our group and connecting with other families and patients who have FSHD is just kind of a general awareness with each other. Sharing doctors, sharing physical therapists that know about our disease. So my hope is that we can connect with each other, share resources, and then just have a place to get together and talk and share. Because there's such an empowering feeling sitting across the table from somebody who has this disease too, because so many people don't know what it is. And our hope is to just connect with each other, because through that connection we can grow, we can empower each other, and we can all learn and push what we know about this disease forward.
I want you to know I'm in. Are you in?
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in.
Are in.
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in.
And
We're in.